The massive space station called Concordia floated silently in the darkness between star systems. Inside its gleaming metal halls, 12 different alien species had gathered for an emergency meeting. The air buzzed with tension as creatures of all shapes and sizes filled the great council chamber. High Arbiter Velfax stood at the center podium, his crystal body glowing with worried light. He was tall and thin, made of what looked like living glass that changed colors with his emotions. Right now, those colors were dark red, the color of anger and fear among his people. "My fellow beings," Velfax said, his voice echoing through translation devices that made his words understandable to all species present. "We have a serious problem. The humans have broken the ancient agreement." A low rumble of shocked voices filled the chamber. For 3,000 Earth years, they had maintained a careful peace with the strange species on the small blue planet. The humans were supposed to stay in their own solar system. They were supposed to remain contained, watched, but left alone to develop naturally. Commander Draktor rose from his seat with a heavy thud. He was 8 feet tall, covered in dark green scales, with yellow eyes that seemed to burn with inner fire. His people, the Drakmer, were warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds before joining the council. "What exactly have these humans done?" Draktor growled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Velfax activated the holographic display in the center of the chamber. Images of sleek, strange-looking ships appeared in the air above them. The ships were unlike anything the aliens had seen before, smooth, fast, and somehow beautiful in their deadly design. "They have developed faster than light travel," Velfax announced. "Not only that, but they have established 17 colonies outside their solar system. They have violated the sacred quarantine." The chamber exploded into chaos. Queen Zilnara of the insect-like Kretak made angry clicking sounds, her 6 arms waving in distress. Admiral Luxiani, who was made of pure energy and looked like a floating cloud of golden light, pulsed rapidly with concern. "How is this possible?" buzzed Queen Zilnara. "Our last report showed them using primitive chemical rockets. They had barely reached their own moon. That was 50 of their years ago." Velfax replied grimly. "Look at these readings." The hologram showed more images. Human ships moving at impossible speeds, space stations that shouldn't exist, and weapons that looked far too advanced for such a young species. Draktor slammed his clawed fist on his chair's armrest. "I told you we should have dealt with them centuries ago. Humans are chaos creatures. They cannot live in peace with their own kind for more than a few decades. They make war constantly. They destroy their own environment. They are dangerous. Perhaps we should try talking to them first," suggested Admiral Luxiani, her energy form glowing softly. "Maybe they don't understand Dash." "Understand what?" Draktor roared. "They have violated 3,000 years of agreement. They have spread across space like a disease. Have you studied their history? They cannot stop fighting, conquering, destroying." Other council members began to speak at once. The moth-like Solari fluttered their wings nervously. The rock-bodied Terex rumbled deep warnings. The aquatic hydros gurgled their concerns through their water-filled speaking tubes. Velfax called for order by sending bright flashes of light through his crystal body. "We have intercepted their communications," he said. "They call themselves the Human Space Defense Corps. Their technology has advanced at an impossible rate. What took our civilizations thousands of years to develop, they have achieved in mere decades." He changed a hologram to show human ships in action. The vessels moved in ways that seemed to break the laws of physics, appearing and disappearing, moving faster than should be possible. "Where do they get this technology?" asked Queen Zilnara. "Unknown," Velfax admitted, "but it doesn't matter now. What matters is that they are expanding rapidly and showing no signs of stopping. If we do nothing, they will reach the core worlds within a century." The debate that followed was fierce. Some species wanted to attempt diplomatic contact. Others suggested economic sanctions or technological interference. But the majority, led by the war-loving Drakmer, pushed for immediate military action. "They are a threat to galactic stability," Draktor argued. "Their own history proves they cannot be trusted. They have made war on their own planet for thousands of years. They will do the same to us." As the hours passed, the vote became clear. One by one, the species declared their positions. Even the peaceful Luminari, who hadn't fought a war in 1,000 years, reluctantly agreed that action was necessary. When the final count was taken, 11 of the 12 species had voted for war. Only the wise old Mentari abstained, saying they needed more time to study the situation. Velthak's crystal form turned deep black as he made the announcement that would change galactic history forever. By the authority of the Galactic Council, the Truce of Soul is hereby dissolved. The human species is declared a threat to galactic peace. They have 72 standard hours to surrender completely and return to their homeworld. If they refuse, we will use all necessary force to contain them. As the council session ended and the various species returned to their ships to prepare for war, none of them noticed a small, dark object attached to the station's outer hull. It looked like just another piece of space debris, but it was actually a human probe, silently recording everything with technology far more advanced than anything in the aliens' databases. The probe had been watching them for months, and soon Admiral Park Hyun on Earth would know exactly what was coming. Deep beneath the busy streets of Seoul, in a secret bunker that stretched for miles underground, red warning lights flashed in every corridor. The emergency alarm had been sounding for 3 hours, ever since the hidden human probe near the alien space station had transmitted its final message. Admiral Park Hyun walked quickly through the metal hallways, his military boots echoing against the floor. He was a man in his 50s with gray hair and calm eyes that had seen many battles. Today, those eyes showed no fear, only curiosity. The main war room was already full when he arrived. President Kim Jae-ho sat at the head of a long table, surrounded by the most important leaders from every nation on Earth. Defense ministers, generals, scientists, and intelligence officers filled the room, all talking at once in worried voices. "Quiet!" Admiral Park called out, and the room fell silent. He walked to the front and activated the large screen on the wall. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have received our first official message from our alien neighbors." The screen showed the recording from their spy probe. The alien creatures in the council chamber looked strange and frightening. Crystal beings, giant lizards, insect queens, and clouds of glowing energy. But their message was clear in any language. "They want us to surrender," Admiral Park said simply. "They have given us 72 hours to return to Earth and never leave our solar system again. If we refuse, they promise to destroy us completely." For a moment, the room was perfectly quiet. Then President Kim began to chuckle. It started as a small laugh, but it grew louder and stronger. Soon, Defense Minister Lee Soo-jin was giggling too. Then General Chong Min-ho burst into deep belly laughter. "They want us to surrender?" President Kim wiped tears from his eyes. Do they have any idea who they're dealing with? The laughter spread around the room like wildfire. Even the most serious military officers found themselves smiling and shaking their heads in amazement. Director Yoon Nare of Human Intelligence stood up, still grinning. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a mind that worked faster than most computers. "Sir, they clearly don't know us at all. While they were watching us, we were watching them right back." She pressed a button, and the screen changed to show detailed pictures of alien spaceships. Every part was labeled, every weakness marked in red, every strength noted in blue. For the past 100 years, every time they sent a scout ship to look at Earth, we captured it. Director Yoon explained. "We took apart their technology piece by piece. We learned how it worked. Then we built better versions." Admiral Park nodded. "Our rapid advancement wasn't natural development. It was careful study of alien technology, improved by human engineering. We've been preparing for this day for decades." Dr. Song Hae-jin, the head of their secret space research, stood up next. She was young for such an important job, but her brain worked like magic with quantum physics and space technology. "The aliens think we still use chemical rockets and nuclear bombs," Dr. Song said with a smile. "They have no idea what we actually built. Should I show them?" "Show us first," President Kim said, still chuckling. The screen filled with images of human spaceships that looked nothing like what the aliens expected. These ships were beautiful and deadly, with smooth lines and strange glowing parts. They moved through space in ways that seemed impossible. "We have 200 quantum jump ships," Dr. Song announced. They can appear anywhere in space instantly. We have weapons that can reshape matter at the atomic level. We have AI computers that think alongside human commanders. And we have something the aliens don't. "What's that?" asked General Chong. "We have Captain Ko Sung-min," Admiral Park said with a wide grin. He volunteered to make first contact with our new alien friends. His exact words were, "Let me show these space lizards how soul traffic works." The room exploded in fresh laughter. Everyone knew Captain Ko. He was famous for being completely fearless and slightly crazy. He was also the best pilot in the human fleet. "What are our real capabilities?" President Kim asked when the laughter died down. Director Yoon's smile turned sharp and dangerous. "We can defend every human colony. We can strike back at any target in their space. We can move our fleets faster than they can track. And we have weapons they've never seen before." She paused and looked around the room. "Plus, Captain Ko has requested permission to play K-pop music during the battle. He says it will confuse their tactical computers." "Permission granted," Admiral Park said immediately. President Kim stood up, and everyone in the room stood with him. "Ladies and gentlemen, we accept their declaration of war. For 3,000 years, they kept us locked in our own solar system like children in a playpen. They watched us and judged us, and decided we were too dangerous to join their galaxy." He smiled, and it was not a kind smile. "Well, they were right about one thing. We are dangerous, but not in the way they think." Admiral Park saluted. "I'll send word to Captain Ko. The gloves are off." As the meeting broke up and everyone hurried to prepare for war, Admiral Park stayed behind for a moment. He looked at the alien ships on the screen and shook his head. "You should have left us alone," he said quietly to the empty room. "Now you're going to learn why humans survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and each other. We don't just fight to win. We fight because we enjoy the challenge." Outside in space, the HSDC Indomitable was already moving toward the edge of the solar system, ready to welcome the first alien visitors to Seoul in 3,000 years. The edge of the solar system had been empty and quiet for billions of years. Today, that changed in the most spectacular way possible. 10,000 alien spaceships appeared out of nowhere, emerging from hyperspace in perfect formation. They looked like a swarm of metal insects against the black of space. Some shaped like diamonds, others like long needles, and many that defied description entirely. On the bridge of the massive Drachma flagship Destalone, Fleet Commander Thekmor stood 8 feet tall, his green scales gleaming under the bridge lights. His yellow eyes stared at the small blue that was Earth, so far away it looked harmless and peaceful. Scanned for the defense fleet, Thekmor ordered his crew, showing his sharp teeth in what might have been a smile. "Find their primitive rockets and nuclear weapons. This will be over quickly." The tactical officer, a younger Drachma with nervous twitches, studied his instruments carefully. "Commander, I'm detecting one vessel. Just one. One ship." Thekmor laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. "They send one primitive craft against 10,000 of our finest warships? These humans are even more foolish than we thought." The single human ship sat perfectly still between the alien fleet and Earth. It was smaller than most of the alien vessels, with smooth curves and a strange blue glow around its edges. It looked almost peaceful. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from a human vessel." "Put on screen. Let's hear their surrender." The main view screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the human ship. A man in a dark blue uniform sat casually in the captain's chair, eating what looked like small crackers from a bag. He had short black hair, bright eyes, and the biggest smile Thekmor had ever seen. Well, the human said cheerfully, waving at the camera with his free hand. "Look who decided to visit our little neighborhood. I'm Captain Ko Sung-min of the HSDC Indomitable, and welcome to the Sol System, folks." Thekmor's jaw dropped open. Is this primitive mocking us? Captain Ko took another bite of his snack. "Oh, you can understand me. That's great. Listen, I know you probably expected to find us hiding behind our moon with sticks and stones, but we've made a few upgrades since you last checked in on us." The human captain stood up and brushed crumbs off his uniform. I'm guessing nobody told you, but humans really, really don't like uninvited guests, especially when they come making threats. Would you like a demonstration of our hospitality? Feckmore's scales turned dark red with rage. You dare speak to me like this? I command 10,000 ships. You have one. Actually, Captain Coe said, still smiling, I prefer to think of it as quality over quantity. But hey, you brought enough friends for everyone. This is going to be fun. Destroy that vessel. Feckmore roared. All ships open fire. Turn it into space dust. What happened next would be remembered as the most one-sided battle in galactic history. Every weapon in the alien fleet fired at once. Energy beams that could melt planets, plasma torpedoes that burn hotter than suns, and quantum disruptors that could tear apart matter itself. The human ship simply wasn't there anymore. Where did it go? Feckmore demanded, staring at empty space where the Indomitable had been just seconds before. Right behind you, came Captain K.O.'s cheerful voice over the communication system. Impossible. The human ship had somehow appeared in the middle of the alien formation, surrounded by thousands of enemy vessels. But instead of being trapped, it began the most amazing display of combat flying anyone had ever witnessed. The Indomitable moved like it was dancing. It spun between alien ships, phased through solid metal hulls as if they were made of air, and left trails of sparkling light wherever it went. When it fired its weapons, enemy ships didn't just explode. They seemed to fold in on themselves, or turn into geometric patterns, or simply fade away like they had never existed. This is impossible. Feckmore shouted. Nothing can move like that. Oh, this is just a warm-up. Captain K.O.'s voice replied. Wait until you hear our battle music. Suddenly, the strangest sound the aliens had ever heard began playing across all communication channels. It was energetic, rhythmic, and somehow made the destruction happening around them feel like a celebration instead of a war. Korean pop music filled the void of space as the Indomitable continued an impossible dance of destruction. Alien crews watched in shock as their mighty warships were destroyed by weapons that seemed to reshape reality itself. The human ship created localized time distortions that aged enemy hulls until they crumbled like old paper. It fired beams that convinced enemy weapons they were actually flowers. It somehow convinced 300 Kretak vessels that they were at a party instead of battle, causing them to stop fighting and start trying to dance. In exactly 30 minutes, 3,000 alien ships had been destroyed or disabled. The remaining 7,000 vessels began emergency hyperspace jumps, fleeing back toward Council space as fast as their engines could carry them. As the last alien ship disappeared into hyperspace, Captain Coe opened a general broadcast to the fleeing fleet. Thanks for stopping by Sol System. Don't be strangers now. Come back anytime. We'll be here waiting, and next time we'll have snacks ready. Back on the desk alone, Feckmore stared at his tactical display in complete shock. Half his fleet was gone, and the human ship was still there, apparently undamaged and still playing that strange, happy music. Retreat, he whispered. Then louder, full retreat. All remaining ships, emergency jump to Council space. Now! As the Drachma flagship prepared to flee, Captain K.O.'s final message followed them into hyperspace. Tell your friends back home. Earth is open for business, and business is booming. The emergency council meeting was nothing like the dignified gathering from months before. High Arbiter Velthak's crystal body flickered between red and black, colors of panic and confusion among his people. Around the great chamber, representatives from 12 alien species looked like they had seen ghosts. Report, Velthak demanded, his voice cracking like breaking glass. Admiral Luxie and I, the energy being who normally glowed golden, was now a sickly green color. The humans are everywhere. They've attacked 17 of our star systems simultaneously. But they're not fighting like any military we've ever encountered. Commander Draktor, the mighty Drachma warrior, looked smaller somehow. His scales had turned pale yellow, the color of fear among his people. The battle at Proxima Centauri was impossible. They sent attack drones, but these drones were telling jokes. Jokes! Queen Zilnar Abuz her compound eyes twitching rapidly. Our combat computers try to analyze the humor to understand the tactical purpose, Draktor continued. The jokes made no sense. Our AI systems became so confused they shut down completely. While our ships were defenseless, the humans destroyed half our fleet. Velthak activated the holographic display, showing battle reports from across their territory. Each one was more bizarre than the last. At the Vega mining colonies, Admiral Luxie and I reported, humans arrived inside asteroids. We thought we were capturing space debris for our shields. Instead, soldiers emerged from inside the rocks and took over our ships from within. The display showed security footage of human soldiers popping out what looked like ordinary space rocks, wearing battle armor and carrying weapons that seemed to hum with strange energy. They moved through alien ships like they owned them, somehow knowing exactly where to go and what to disable. How did they know our ship layouts? Demanded General Krexanar, the insectoid Kretak. They didn't just know them. Queen Zilnara clicked nervously. They improved them. The humans who captured our vessels redesigned our own systems while they were stealing them. Our engines work better now than before they attacked us. Velthak's crystal form dimmed. Show them the Wolf 359 incident. The hologram changed to show the strangest battle any of them had witnessed. Human fighters moved in perfect formations, but instead of military precision, they seemed to be dancing. Their ships spun and twisted through space while broadcasting loud, rhythmic music. Colonel Imsu Jean led that attack, Admiral Luxie and I explained. Her fighters destroyed our entire battle group while performing what can only be described as aerial choreography. They painted the explosions different colors to match their music. They turned warfare into art, General Krexanar said weakly. But the most disturbing report came from the Altair system. Dr. Beckman June had deployed something the aliens had never imagined possible. Weapons that attacked emotions instead of ships. Explain these empty bombs, Velthak demanded. Admiral Luxie and I pulsed with embarrassment. The humans created devices that forced telepathic species to experience human emotions. My entire Third Fleet surrendered after being hit with something humans call Monday morning feelings. What are Monday morning feelings? Queen Zilnara asked. We're not sure, Luxie and I admitted, but they made my entire crew want to go back to bed and never fight again. Some of my officers started crying for no reason. Others became obsessed with finding something called coffee. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans had weaponized feelings, something none of them had thought possible. There's worse news, Velthak announced. Our intelligence reports that humans are reverse engineering our technology faster than we can deploy new weapons. What takes us centuries to develop, they improve upon in weeks. The hologram showed human ships that looked like improved versions of alien designs. Sleek Luminari energy vessels with human modifications flew alongside upgraded Drachma battlecruisers that somehow looked more dangerous than the originals. They're learning from every ship they capture, General Krexanar observed. But they're not just copying us. They're making our own technology better. As if summoned by their discussion, a new transmission arrived. The main screen flickered to life, showing Admiral Park Hyun standing on what looked like the bridge of a captured alien vessel. Greetings, Galactic Council. Admiral Park said, with a friendly wave, thanks for all the technology upgrades. Your plasma cannons are now 300% more efficient, and we added some nice light shows to the explosions. Behind him, human technicians worked alongside captured alien crew members, apparently sharing coffee and snacks while they upgraded weapon systems together. Oh, and we're having a potluck dinner next week in the Vega system. Admiral Park continued cheerfully. Everyone's invited. Bring your favorite foods. We'll provide the entertainment. Hope to see you there. The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. They invited us to dinner, Queen Zilnara said in disbelief. In the middle of a war, they invited us to dinner. After destroying half our fleets, Draktor added weakly. While making our own weapons better, General Krexanar finished. Velthak's crystal body flickered through every color in the spectrum before settling on deep purple, the color of complete confusion among his people. What kind of species fights a war by making friends with their enemies? He asked the empty air. Nobody had an answer. Outside the council chamber, reports continued to arrive of human victories across 17 star systems. But in every case, the humans seemed more interested in throwing parties than conquering territory. The war was not going according to plan. The humans were winning, but they were winning wrong. And somehow, that made it even more terrifying. The Battle of Nexus Prime began at exactly noon, Galactic Standard Time, when 50,000 alien warships formed the largest offensive formation in recorded history. They surrounded their capital world like a metal shell, every weapon pointed outward, ready to make their final stand against the strange humans who had turned their galaxy upside down. Admiral Park Hyun stood on the bridge of the HSDC Seoul, looking at the massive alien fleet through the view screen. His human fleet of 500 ships looked tiny in comparison, like minnows facing a school of whales. "Sir," reported Communications Officer Young-dee, trying not to laugh, "Captain Ko is asking permission to deploy something he calls Protocol Rainbow Dance. He says it will be the perfect finale to our friendship tour." Admiral Park smiled. After 2 years of the strangest war in galactic history, he had learned that his officers' crazy ideas usually work better than traditional military tactics. "Tell Captain Ko he has permission to make this memorable." The human ships moved into position, but instead of forming battle lines, they arranged themselves in a perfect spiral pattern that looked more like art than warfare. Then Captain Ko's voice echoed across every communication channel in the star system. "Attention, Galactic Council forces." Ko announced cheerfully, "You are officially invited to the greatest interstellar block party in the history of the galaxy. No weapons required. Just bring whatever you use to dance with." What happened next would be remembered for thousands of years. The human ships began their attack, but it wasn't really an attack at all. It was the most spectacular light show ever created. Quantum torpedoes exploded in brilliant colors that spelled out the word friendship in 17 different alien languages. Energy beams painted rainbow patterns across the darkest space. Human fighters moved in perfect formation while broadcasting music that somehow made even the explosions seem cheerful. The HSDC Busan deployed holographic displays, showing recipes for something called interdimensional friendship cookies. Other ships launched care packages toward bewildered alien crews, filled with Earth food and handwritten notes saying, "Thanks for being good sports." High Arbiter Velthak watched from his flagship as human vessels danced through his defensive formations. Their weapons created light shows that were somehow both beautiful and terrifying. When Admiral Park's personal transport requested permission to dock with his command ship, Velthak was too confused to refuse. "Velthak!" Admiral Park entered the alien bridge carrying 2 steaming cups and wearing the biggest smile the crystal being had ever seen. "I brought coffee, real earth beans, grown in Korean mountain soil. You absolutely have to try this." The alien commander looked at the small cup in his hands. The liquid inside was dark and smelled strange but pleasant. As he sipped it, something incredible happened. For the first time in his 3,000-year life, he felt pure, simple happiness with no complications or hidden meanings. "This is remarkable," Velthak admitted, his crystal body shifting to bright blue, the color of wonder among his people. "But Admiral Park, surely you understand we cannot simply stop fighting because of the beverage." Park sat down casually in one of the alien chairs, completely relaxed. "Velthak, my friend, let me ask you something important. In 2 years of war, how many human worlds have we destroyed?" "None," Velthak answered honestly. "How many of your people have we enslaved or conquered?" "None." "How many times have we demanded surrender or threatened to wipe out entire species?" Velthak's crystal form flickered as understanding began to dawn. "Never. Every battle we fought, we tried to save lives," Park explained. "Every ship we disabled, we rescued the crews afterward. Every planet we liberated from council control, we immediately granted independence. We're not conquerors, Velthak. We're just very aggressive about making friends." As if to prove his point, the bridge monitor showed scenes from across the battle zone. Human medics were treating wounded alien soldiers. Human engineers were helping repair damaged ships. Captain Ko was teaching a group of young Drakmar warriors how to play something called rock, paper, scissors, and they were all laughing together. The war officially ended 3 hours later when Velfax stood before the emergency council session and made an announcement that changed galactic history. "Fellow beings," he said, his crystal form glowing bright gold, "we have encountered something unprecedented, a species that fights wars not to destroy, but to protect. Humanity's greatest weapon is not their technology. It is their ability to find joy in the darkest moments and see potential friends in sworn enemies." The 3,000-year truce was officially replaced by the Eternal Friendship Accord. Humanity became the galaxy's official mediators, party planners, and what Admiral Park was formally titled Chief Morale Officer of Known Space. The celebration that followed lasted 6 months and created an entire industry around interstellar festivals. Former enemies became best friends. Alien species that hadn't spoken to each other in centuries started having regular dinner parties. Years later, when young aliens asked about humanity's rise to galactic importance, former Fleet Commander Draktor, now a regular guest at Korean barbecue nights on Earth, would always give the same answer. "They didn't conquer us," he would say with a fond smile. "They made surrender look so much fun that we all volunteered." At the final victory celebration, Admiral Park raised his coffee cup high in the air. "Here's to the shortest war and longest friendship in galactic history. To humanity, we came, we saw, we made everyone laugh until they loved us." The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Sometimes the best way to win a war is to throw a really good party instead.